Welcome to Kelly's Prepping Kitchen. It has been a minute since I've posted a video from my kitchen, but tonight I am going to utilize all ingredients from my pantry. So I am making a shelf-stable meal of tamale soup. Never made it before. It just sounded good to me. So let me show you the ingredients that I'll be using. So the star of the show is going to be these Hormel tamales. I'm just trying to get into my pantry and recycle through some of these things I've had on the shelf for a while. One thing you'll notice is that there's no cheese. Again, shelf stable. I do have some freeze-dried cheese that I might use. I'm going to use nutritional yeast. It kind of gives a really cheesy texture, kind of like your basic taco soup meal. I'm going to use some black beans, some whole kernel corn, some taco seasoning. I've got some chicken broth back there I'm going to use. That is I got it backwards. I think that's like 32 ounces. I'm going to use a can of Rotel. I'm going to use green chilies, some enchilada sauce. The tamales, I'm going to dice them up and use the chili sauce that it came in. And right here we've got my Better Than Bouillon. I'm going to use the smoky chipotle, about a tablespoon of that, as well as the adobo. And then just for seasonings, I thought I had an onion, but I don't. So I'm just going to use this dehydrated onion here. Same with the jalapeno peppers. I'm going to throw some of that in there for some heat, and a little bit of garlic powder. So let's get started. I forgot to mention that I am actually going to do this in my slow cooker, and then I will just dump the juice into the slow cooker. But yeah, you can easily do this on the stovetop, and dinner can be done in like 30 minutes, just however long you want to simmer and let all those spices work together. So let's just get these unwrapped. And I am getting a late start in the day, but that's okay. Everything in this meal is already cooked. But yeah, so you can do this in the slow cooker in under a couple of hours. Next, we're just going to give these a little rough chop into little bite-sized pieces. And because I want to also be able to put the leftovers on my dehydrator, I am just going to cut them again lengthwise down the middle, just so everything cooks evenly, everything gets dehydrated the way it's supposed to. Alright. Looks good. Okay, now I'm going to throw this in my slow cooker. Next, I'm going to just take the sauce that came in the tamales and dump that right on in. Next, I'm going to dump my can of rinsed black beans. Now I've drained a can of corn. I'm going to go ahead and throw that in there. Then I'm going to go in with a can of Rotel. Now I'm going to add a can of enchilada sauce. Another can of green chilies. Now for the seasoning, I'm just going to put in some garlic. I'm not going to measure it out. I'm going to just put a generous, I'd say that might be about a tablespoon. Some taco seasoning. Some dehydrated onion. Just a little handful of dehydrated jalapeno. Rule of thumb when it comes to the Better Than Bouillon, you're supposed to use about a tablespoon per 8 ounces of water, which we're using chicken broth. But so for the smoky chipotle, just gonna do, that's probably about a tablespoon. For the adobo, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm going to add the 48 ounces of chicken broth. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of this nutritional yeast. We can always add more later if we want. Next, I'm just going to give it a good stir. And we are going to put this on low and let it go for a couple of hours. We'll be back for the taste test shortly. Okay, so the soup is ready, and I think I used a little too much broth, but that's okay. If you were to make this recipe, just double the cans of bean or corn or even tamales, but we like it extra soupy. And what I'm going to do with the leftover broth is tomorrow I'm going to add some Spanish rice to it and make the leftovers into a casserole. Whatever is left will go on the dehydrator. So here is our bowl. You can see pieces of tamale, and then of course the corn, the tomato, the green chilies, the black beans. So it's basically like a taco soup, just with a different spin. So now we're going to let this cool off a second, and then we'll do the taste test. That's good. It's spicy. You can definitely taste the jalapeno that I threw in there.
You can taste everything. I'm not a big fan of those tamales, but in a soup, they're edible.
They're edible. Thanks, babe. I like them. I think it's a nice twist to a taco soup. And I like the enchilada sauce. I like throwing that in there instead of like a typical tomato sauce base. So I think it's good. I'm going to enjoy this, and I'm going to, like I said, add that Spanish rice-a-roni to it tomorrow and have a casserole. And then whatever's left will go on the dehydrator. So when we did our taste test, we didn't have any garnishes on it. And it was good, but it's now elevated. We added some avocado, some sour cream, and some cheese, and it's like next level good. 2 thumbs up.